Hey everybody, this is Heartless Spartan here with another My Little Pony Toy Talk. I had a few viewers inquire about the rarities and tiers of Kayou's My Little Pony collectible cards. I understand that between the sets available and the unusual rarity labels on the cards, it can get rather complicated. So I will do what I can to simplify it at the start, but it will get more complicated as I go on. As a note, this is also just my understanding of how these sets go together, and I am still unsure on a few things that are in the boxes that I will get to as we go. So to start with, the Kayou My Little Pony Friendship Eternal Series 1 collectible cards have 3 types of boxes to purchase, each at its own price point. The lowest price point beginning with the Fun Moments Edition. The cards exclusively from this pack have a label FME01 for Fun Moments Edition Series 1. So we will see these abbreviations quite often when looking at these. The next price up is the Rainbow Edition. The Rainbow Edition cards will have the label RBE01 for Rainbow Edition Series 1. The next price up is the Moon Edition. The Moon Edition labels on the cards are a bit longer as MLP ME01 for My Little Pony Moon Edition Series 1. The cards with each of those series labels will not be found in the other sets. For example, we will not be getting an MLP ME01 labeled card from the Moon Edition in the Rainbow or Fun Moments editions, and vice versa. There are, however, some duplicate cards labeled from their own box set that are the same cards from another set, which I will show later. There are also 2 other sets that can be found in either the Fun Moments edition or the Rainbow Edition, but their quantities I am unsure of. These are labeled INT01 and INT02. You may hear me refer to them as international cards, though I don't know if that's what INT refers to. Some boxes may include parts of a set for promo cards labeled MLPE-PR for what I am assuming means My Little Pony English promotional cards, which are exclusive to certain box sets and special events. I do, however, want to move on to basic tiers from a set before I make this any more complicated. To start with the most straightforward and organized rarity set in Friendship Eternal Series 1, we are going to take a look at the cards from the Moon Edition. The Moon Edition has 8 rarities. On the back of the box, it has the rarity tiers listed, and for whatever reason is listed in reverse order from the rankings on the Fun Moments Edition and Rainbow Editions. Ranking from lowest to highest, it starts with R, then SR, SSR, HR, UR, LSR, SGR, and SC at the highest rarity. I find it best not to try to relate this ranking system to others we might be used to. The closest I would say would be to consider R, SR, and SSR cards the more common cards. HR and UR to be more uncommon cards, and LSR, SGR, and SC cards to be the rare ones. While SC cards are hard to get, your chances are still pretty good. If you get a couple of Moon Edition boxes, you will likely get an SC card. Moving on, let's take a closer look at the labeling on the cards. I'll use the Moon Edition R cards to start. Here I have a Moon Edition R tier Twilight Sparkle. If we break down the card, we have the rarity tier level in the bubble on the upper right corner of the card. This will sometimes change position depending on the tier of the card. It will also change in color or decoration depending on the character, as we can see with Rainbow Dash, for example. Next, we have these bars underneath. If we turn the card on its side and look closer, we see the top bar has a series of stars with 3 filled in. The stars will fill in depending on what tier the card is. R tier cards have 3 stars filled in. SR cards have 4 stars filled in, and so on. Sometimes tiers of cards will omit these stars to suit a specific theme, like the SSR poker cards that come with the Moon Edition, and other higher tier cards. While the star leveling starts at 3 stars, I don't know, more stars are pretty. The bar below contains the box edition and series label, the rarity tier of the card, and the number order of that card in that tier for that set, and a level designation that is the same as the tier of the R card. As in, R cards are L1 or level 1 cards. Don't worry so much about levels. All R cards are level 1. All SR cards are level 2, and so on. The levels just help us sort the rarity of cards when we get to the gimmick cards. So looking at this information, we can see that this Twilight Sparkle card is labeled MLP ME01-R-01L1, meaning Twilight Sparkle is from the My Little Pony Moon Edition Series 1 R tier. She is the first card in that R tier set as number 1, and is level 1, matching the R tier and stars. So if I show the set, it starts with MLP ME01-R-01L1 Twilight Sparkle. Then on to MLP ME01-R-02L1 Pinkie Pie. And so on until we include the whole set of Moon Edition R tier cards up to MLP ME01-R-30L1, the Fruit Bat. If we looked at every card in that Moon Edition R set, we would see it count up from 01 to 30. As the number of R cards available in the Moon Edition matches the listed number of types on the back of the box. So the number of cards in each rarity tier is dependent on how many cards are in that rarity set for that edition. This pattern of information works exactly the same for each following tier. Things only change when we take the levels into consideration. The HR and SSR cards are both labeled as level 3. UR and LSR cards are labeled as level 4. And SGR and SC cards are labeled level 5. So I would not necessarily consider the levels of the cards to indicate exactly how rare it is. Let the tier rating do that instead. For instance, SGR and SC cards are both labeled level 5, but it becomes clear that SC cards are more rare than SGR cards. So the levels are just another way to sort them, but are not specific enough to be anything I would concern myself over. I just ignore them unless the level number can help me sort gimmick cards. Each edition comes with its own gimmick cards. Moon Edition has the HR cards, for instance, which are lenticulars. The other two editions have their own sets of gimmick cards unique to their edition. In the end, I organized the cards by their rarity tiers as listed on the box: R, SR, SSR, HR, UR, LSR, SGR, and then SC. The Moon Edition has the most straightforward and consistent card numbers that allow us to sort the cards by their rarity tiers. This is primarily because the number of types of each tier, as listed on the Moon Edition boxes, accurately matches the cards that are being pulled from it with the MLP ME01 labeling. This gets more complicated with the Fun Moments Edition and Rainbow Edition sets, since they include more gimmick sets and the inclusion of cards labeled differently from their edition labels. I'm talking about the cards labeled INT01 and INT02 that I pulled. Let's take a look at the Rainbow Edition next. The Rainbow Edition has 10 rarity tiers. It starts with the R cards, the issue being that the box indicates that there are 30 types of R cards. However, I have pulled R cards labeled RBE01 for the Rainbow Edition and R cards labeled INT01 from the Rainbow Edition. Do these cards cumulatively count towards the total of 30 types of R cards from the set? I do not know. I have not been able to pull 30 cards of either INT01 or RBE01. The same labeling issue occurs for SR and SSR cards in the Rainbow Edition. That aside, I do have an order that I sort the RBE01 cards into from the Rainbow Edition. Even given the extra sets of special gimmick cards in the Rainbow Edition, I still followed the rarity tier listing from the back of the box, but omitted the INT01 cards, as I am unsure if they belong to the RBE01 sets. Beginning with R, then FR, TR, TGR, MTR, SSR, UR, USR, and XR. The labeling system I described and used to sort the Moon Edition cards works the same for the Rainbow Edition. Moving on to the Fun Moments Edition, we have the same issue with the inclusion of INT01R cards, but also the inclusion of INT02R and INT02UR cards. which confounds me even further since I believe the first numbers in the label are supposed to be the series number. Even more so that the R cards and UR cards are some of the exact cards we get in the Moon Edition, but under a different series label. So omitting the INT01 and INT02 cards, this is how I order the cards from the Fun Moments Edition labeled FME01. Starting with the N-Star Silver cards. There are two types of N-Star cards, Silver and Gold. The Gold N-Star cards are more uncommon, and if the color is hard to tell, the characters on the cards will have a pearlescent foil outline that the Silver N-Star cards do not have. And there will be a diamond included in the label of the card. Anytime we see a diamond on a Kayou card's label, that indicates that it is an alternate card in some way. So for the Fun Moments Edition cards labeled FME01, the order goes as it is listed on the box. Silver N-Star, Gold N-Star, SR, SSR, CR. I have omitted the INT cards and ordered them separately as they are labeled like another series, and I do not know their official quantities or how they fit into Series 1. I even put the INT cards into a separate binder. When I made up my binder for Friendship Eternal Series 1, I organized the cards by their editions and ordered them by their rarity tiers within those categories. I did this because the Fun Moments Edition is the lowest cost edition, and so the cards from that edition are technically less valuable. Then Rainbow Edition, then Moon Edition. I felt this was somewhat necessary because the cards were labeled according to the boxed edition they came from. Instead of having all the cards be labeled as Friendship Eternal Series 1 with a greater likelihood of pulling better cards from the more expensive box. Each edition, while considered Friendship Eternal Series 1, had their own independent sets of cards. To wrap things up, here are the lists of how I entered the cards into my binder. I hope you found the video helpful. It took me a lot of time and resources to purchase, open, sort, record, edit, and upload everything for this video. So please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to politely participate in the comments by adding your own tips and thoughts on the My Little Pony Friendship Eternal Series 1 cards and their sorting orders. This has been Heartless Spartan. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.